Hi, it's Jenny Gower, and I'm here to share with you some of my knowledge and passion for creating crystal grids. The first thing I want to talk about is there's no absolute way, there's no right or wrong. A philosophy that I have in every aspect of my life, actually, because I just don't think that anything is set in stone, literally. Mind the pun. So with crystal grid making, my main points of view are to follow your heart, to trust your intuition, to really get behind your intention, to allow yourself creativity, and to not fear doing research. Read books, go onto the interweb, look up what everybody's saying. People have stuff to share with you. They have stuff to share with you based on their point of view, their worldview. So just take from it what resonates, what feels right for you. So we're going to start with sacred geometry, because sacred geometry is behind most grid shaping. I do want to point out, though, again, it's not a right or wrong. You can have grids made without any form of sacred geometry, but you will see that when you've laid out those grids, there will be some kind of patterning amongst them. Anyway, sacred geometry is about universal patterns and the design of everything in our reality that are fundamental templates for life. Google it. It is a fascinating field. Well, to me, it's a fascinating field. I really love it. I resonate with sacred geometry. And most of my grids that I make use sacred geometry. I also resonate with sacred geometry in many other aspects of my life. But then that's me. So some of the other aspects of when you're making a grid that are pertinent points to consider are the shapes of the crystals, the meanings of the crystals, the colours, the size and the vibration. So just to touch on those, the shapes do have an impact on how your grid works. Nothing good or bad, just they have an impact because different shapes of crystals determine how the energy flows through them or flows from them. Bearing in mind that they are conductors of energy, they can absorb energy and they can emanate energy. Examples of that are, say, a sphere, which is of course a perfect circle all around like the sun. A sphere emanates energy from all aspects of it equally at all times, just like the sun does. Energy comes out of the sun from all the way around it at all times. A pyramid, for example, has the planes on either side, and the energy out of a pyramid emanates from those planes plus through the top point and through the bottom points. Every shape has its own energy patterning. It's to do with the atomic structure within it, but also to do with the external shape of it. Raw crystals will be more of a raw, stronger energy generally, and polished crystals tend to have given a more gentle, smooth transition for that energy to come out. Again, no right or wrong. They're just going to influence how your grid works. I mostly use pillars as the center stone in my grid, not all the time, but mostly. The cool thing about a pillar is it has a center point at the top, and I imagine that the energy from all the crystals, not only does it come out of the grid outwards, but it also goes into that pillar and upwards and emanates that way. Now, quartz pillars are really interesting. Quartz is known to that the energy atomically moves through a quartz in a spiral. What happens when energy moves in a spiral? It has a much longer path to run. Instead of just going straight up the quartz and out, it's going like this, up, up, up. So it's got much, much greater opportunity to gain momentum. And that's one of the big reasons behind why quartz is known to be an amplifier of energy. It's creating that momentum. So quite often my center stones are quartz, but again, not all the time. Now on to meanings. Colour is also interwoven with meanings because colour will influence what meaning that the crystal has. So you can have, say, kyanite, but blue kyanite has the basis of a kyanite meaning, but black kyanite will also have this meaning, and pink kyanite will have that meaning. Blue will have its own meaning. So the meanings of colours and how colours influence us on a physical, mental and emotional level is really interesting. So when it comes to meanings and colours, they both emanate from ancient knowledge, also from the knowledge of people present now and what they're feeling from it. So again, just research it, just jump on what resonates. If something really jumps out at you, then it has meaning for you in that moment with that crystal. Now the other things to talk about are size and vibration. We always have a giggle with that size doesn't matter, and it actually doesn't matter. You can have a really big stone that has a more gentle, lower hum vibration, or you can have a really big stone that is high vibration. You can have a big stone that has a lot of vibration just because of the size of it, but you can have a little stone that has extremely high vibration. You can have a little stone that has a low, gentle hum vibration. A really good example of a little stone with a crazy as vibration is this one. It's called Moldavite. Moldavite, just look up people's descriptions of how they felt when they've touched Moldavite. It can make you go a little bit doolally. It's very, very high vibration. It can almost feel like it's going to jump out of your hand. But again, each to their own. Everybody has a different experience with different energies. So vibration shouldn't matter. Vibration should only come into it later on when you're researching and be part of the interest of that grid. You should be choosing stones on the intuition and on the desire of what that grid's going to be built of. And size shouldn't matter either, like we've just said. But the only thing is with size is, of course, if you've got a really big rock, you're not going to be able to build it on a really small plate like that. So just run with that imagination, still use that rock, set up your grid on the floor, go for gold. The biggest aspect for me behind grid building is the intention, and it's really behind the power of our thinking, the power of our thoughts. We have the ability to create so much by our thinking alone, but we're not going to go into that today because this is about crystal grid building, and that's a whole nother conversation. So to me personally, I'm really, really, really drawn to sacred geometry. I cannot help myself, but it's because I'm drawn to patterning, and I'm drawn to symmetry, and I'm drawn to balance, and I'm drawn to the way that the colours all meld in with each other, and to me they create beauty. So a lot of my grid stones that I've bought are multiples of something of a similar size, and here they are here. I hope you can see that all right. That's a plate of the grid stones that currently aren't in a grid at the moment, but I can also honestly tell you that all my other crystals, there's just a tiny handful. We'll go for a walk around the room. Heaps and heaps of crystals on here. All of these crystals can become part of a grid. And that's because you don't need to have a specific number of any one type of crystal. This here is a grid. This is a grid for storing my Andara crystals and allowing their energies to be a part of the energy in my space. This is a crystal grid with some of my tools that I use in my healing practice. And that is got intention of holding space for those tools to be the most powerful and wonderful when they do get used with clients when we're not in lockdown. So the grids don't have to be perfectly symmetrical. They don't have to have a certain type size of stone. And even me with my obsessions with sacred geometry, all sorts of different grids get made around here. The best thing for me when I make my grids is that I do it by feel. So I'll have a feel, I've got to make a grid, and then I'll come down here and I'll literally walk around my space until I have a feel of what stone really wants to go in the middle. And sometimes I pick up a couple and then I'll just get have to put it down. But when I pick up the right one, it's like, yep, that's the one. I tend to use my small stones when I'm making these sorts of intentional grids a lot, but I would use any of my other stones, and they can be interdispersed. Maybe my pattern stones can create a pattern of energy between them, but again, however it works out for you. At the moment, I tend to check my stones that I've chosen with pendulum, but I use pendulum a lot. So it's not that you have to use pendulum, basically I use pendulum in my healing practice. I use pendulum in all aspects of my work and my life, randomly, not constant. It's pretty random. It's like a connection for me. So I use my pendulum in my last few grids to check that they're the ones that actually really want to be there. And but I tend to use my intuition and my guidance when I lay it out. I'd like to think that I'm not doing colour and patterning at the time, but I probably am. But I'll just get drawn to put this stone there and that stone here. And at the end, I'll step back, and that's, when the beauty of things comes in. Because you step back and you have a look at what you've created, and you can see for me, the patterning, you can see the beauty, you can see the lineup. The next step is to activate the grid. Again, out there on the interweb, there's a lot of chat about the right ways to activate the grid. I personally go with there is no specific one way to do it. The way I've been doing it lately, again, is actually with my pendulum. I connect all the lines, I connect the circles, I connect any kind of pattern that I can see in the different grids. And whilst I'm doing that, I'm connecting myself with the intention, and I'm connecting that intention with the universe, and I'm asking for that intention to be supported by the grid, and by all that I'm into. And you will all have the way that you connect, the way you're into. So just draw into that. You can use a wand, you can use any form of wand. So a wand is really probably the shape of something, so like a stick, or I have crystal wands, but yeah, anything like that. And again, you can do the patterning, you can use the energy of your hand going over it. Well, you can stand back and you can use the power of your thinking, and I've done that a handful of times. I tend to work quite a bit with the angels, so I bring the angels in, but yeah, you can use elementals if you're into extraterrestrial, Arcturians, Pleiadians, God, whatever resonates with you. And that if you don't have something like that, think about something that you might want to use, or just go source energy, just go the human energy or the world energy or Mother Earth energy or something. Yeah, anything basically will work. So once I've done that, I tend to step away, usually for a cup of tea, but yeah, that's me. And maybe later that day, or maybe the next day, or maybe not for a few days, I'll come in and I'll check in on the grid, just because they're beautiful, and I love the fact that they're there working. And I'll look at what I've put on, and that's when I go, oh look, I've put on blue kyanite on that grid. Let's have a look on this one. I've put on blue kyanite. There's rose quartz, there's amethyst, there's fluorite, there's smoky quartz, there's peridot, there's blue lace agate, there's celestite. The center piece for that is a combination quartz called prasiolite, but it's actually got 4 different types of quartz in it. So I'll go away and I'll use what I know about those things. I don't remember everything about them, and different times different things resonate about each stone. So I go and I have a little look on the interweb, and it's amazing how what I'm researching will support the intention that I set with that grid. So I think that's probably it for me. There's so much more information about grids. I mean, I could be talking for an hour on this topic, but you don't have an hour today, I'm sure, and I want to go upstairs and get some lunch. So I'm going to leave you with that there. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that it's helped you in some way or another, and have a lovely rest of your day. Take care.